Welcome to You're Still Doing That, where we talk to everyday people about the childhood joys that have endured into adulthood. Today we'll be talking to Chris Shover. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Matt.
Chris is a longtime computer enthusiast and current lead production specialist at Lenovo. Let's hear some stories. Welcome, everybody, to the third episode of You're Still Doing That, where everyday people talk about their childhood passions and tens of people might hear them. I got Mr. Chris Shover sitting in front of me today. We're going to be talking all things computers. And just to give the listeners a little insight today, Chris, where are we recording at?
You are here at my kitchen table in Sanford, North Carolina.
That's right. And I am sporting a wonderful women's ACC tournament shirt today. Chris, what are you wearing?
I have a Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, Chris wore that Hawaiian shirt because I myself am a lover of Hawaiian shirts. And I almost put one on today, but this t-shirt is my normal bumming around attire, so I got comfortable today. But Chris is the one dressed up. Thanks, Chris, thanks for coming on today. Chris and I have been friends for about a decade now. We met through a mutual friend and soon-to-be podcast guest, Mr. Bruce Bursey. Chris and I also trained for the 2018 Raleigh City of Oaks Marathon. If you have ever properly trained for a marathon, it's awful and wonderful. I don't recommend it, but I do highly recommend it at the same time. Chris, what are your thoughts on marathon training?
It was brutal, but rewarding, and I met my fitness goal. I beat the cone guy.
That's right. Come in before the sweeper at the end. Yep. All right, Chris. So today we're talking all things computers in our youth. You work at Lenovo, which in the RTP, and from home as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, we have a hybrid model.
Thank you, COVID. Everybody's hybrid now. Chris, can you give a current job description that you hold right now?
Sure. I work with Lenovo's premier warranty support. So if you have a ThinkPad product with Lenovo warranty, and should you have an issue, your issue would come to my team. I worked on the phones and took inbound phone calls and was so good at it, they made me the trainer. And I have a co-trainer with me now that our team has grown so much that there's two of us doing this job. My previous work experience includes being a public school teacher. So now I'm doing both. I'm teaching people computers.
Right. Training people at Lenovo. And what is your nickname at Lenovo?
Oh, yeah. My nickname is the Professor.
That's right. I absolutely love it. So if you are a Premier Support subscriber through Lenovo, if you call in and ask for the manager, you might just get Mr. Shover here.
Absolutely. Yeah. While I'm technically not the manager, everybody knows me on the staff because I've onboarded everybody.
Right. All right. Let's start talking some computers, Chris. What is your earliest memory of ever using a computer?
Well, we started out with back in the 80s. That's how old I am. Back in the 80s, we had electronic games, even before computers were in everybody's house. Right. So we had Simon, we had Merlin.
I had a Simon too.
We had a Space Invaders game that came out after the Atari released the 2600. And speaking of Atari, we had the Atari home computer system.
Well, that's right. They did have an Atari home computer system. Could you do anything on that other than play Atari games?
Oh, yeah. It had a little word processor to it. There was a music composer program. We could even do basic programming.
Oh, right. I didn't even know that existed. I had a 4800 as a kid, and we were just playing games on it. Now, my parents they bought a computer in the 80s for their work, and that was basically just DOS and database stuff, and that was about it. That's all it did. All right, Chris. When do you remember having your first computer with a keyboard and a screen and everything like that?
That would have been the Atari 800 XL home computer.
So that did have all of the whole gig to it.
It did.
It had a screen, or could you hook it up to your TV?
It was hooked up to the TV.
And we're not talking our flat screens today kind of TVs, are we?
No, this was a hand me down that used to sit in the living room.
And was it one of those TVs that had a big giant wooden box in it?
It sat on a table. It wasn't a floor model.
Oh, gotcha. That's what I remember. Every TV that my parents had well, it was more like a decoration piece. It was so
Mm-hmm.
large. All right, Chris, how many computers do you think you currently have in your house?
Oh, in the house, I just did a rough count. There's probably a dozen.
Oh my goodness, a dozen. That's quite a lot.
A lot of them are because I am a lead product specialist and I do training. So a lot of them are Lenovo corporate computers that I have for
Oh,
training purposes.
that's right. Little perks of the jobs. All right, Chris. What what kind of computer did you have? What was your first personal computer that you had? That was just yours.
That was just mine. Was a Bondwell laptop.
A Bondwell laptop. I've never even heard of the brand
Nope,
Bondwell.
nope. I don't think they did much other than that one kind of laptop. I spent an embarrassing amount of money on that device. It specs wise, it was a 286. I don't know how tech savvy anybody is listening, but it was a 286. It had CGA graphics. It didn't even have full color
Oh right.
graphics.
No. Yeah, I remember our first monitors were like it was like brown and then you could be green and something else.
Yeah, yeah. This was a step up from monochrome, but it wasn't VGA as you know it today.
Right. What about your friends? Did all your friends have a computer?
My brother picked up a desktop computer after some time in the mid 90s, and it did far more stuff. And Steve, if you ever hear the podcast, I'm still a little jealous that your computer was better than mine.
Oh, that's funny. All right. When you were a kid, what did you think was the coolest thing about computers?
The coolest thing, I guess, just the versatility. On you can do so much with them. You just when you sat down at it, you could go any direction. If you needed to do business, you could do business. If you wanted to have fun, you could have fun. There's just,
Everything in one place.
yeah, all of it together.
All right. How old were you, or when do you first remember doing dial up?
Dial up would have been probably the mid 90s, early 90s.
Yeah,
And
that's when I started with it too. How fast was your first modem in your computer?
2400 baud.
2400 baud. I remember buying a 14.4, I think it was. Did your laptop? I had a desktop. Did your laptop make that same boom chickum
Yep.
sound?
Yep.
Your laptops do that too. Yep, ours did
Yep.
too. Now, did you buy? Were you able to buy new modems for your laptop, or did you get a laptop that had a faster modem in it?
The modem I had was an external one, and I
Right.
got that new. So it made all the noises that we just
Right.
talked about really loud because it was an external device.
Yeah, I used to. I only had desktops when we were younger, but I got in high school. I got into building computers, and so I always had a good time going to the shows and then getting parts to go in there. I thought that was amazing, and I remember getting. I don't know if it was a 30 something other modem from the computer show or 56. I can't remember the term, but I remember that it was faster than any of my friends had, and that delighted me to no end.
Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't tinker with the machines like that. I know a lot of people did, and that was the standard back in the late to mid 90s and even into the 2000s where you would go to a computer show or somebody you knew would build you a computer from all
Right.
those parts.
Right. Now, what was, when you did dial up, what was your main use of dial up?
I would remote into the Penn State University mainframe.
And what did you do at Penn State University mainframe?
We did programming. I did Fortran programming as a college student as part of the math
Gotcha.
degree.
Now, did you ever do the BBS stuff?
Yeah, we did a little bit of that, just message board stuff.
And so BBS, does, if I remember right, stands for Bulletin Board System,
Bulletin
right?
board system, yeah.
Yeah, so that was basically like you could call in to somebody else's computer. And for me, that was local because we still had long distance charges in those days. And so, and they would usually have games on their computer. You could log in, and we always played a game here in Sanford. I think it was called the Red Dragon, maybe. And so I remember when I got that fast modem, I could log in faster than my friends did. It would take them longer to connect, but I could get faster in that queue. So that was always fun.
Yeah, I only ever did messages on it. I don't know that there was a game per se on that message board. I don't recall that.
Yeah, we had a guy in Sanford that hosted that, and we thought it was just the neatest thing ever. And then one of my buddies went to state, and then of course there was a whole bunch of BBSs, and sort of like a role playing type of D&D stuff is what Red Dragon was, but it was all abound when you got to state because then the internet was kind of trickling around.
Sure.
All right, man. So what was your favorite computer game as a kid? What do you remember you loved playing?
Oh my. One of the favorites was F-15 Strike Eagle on the Atari 800 XL. And Steve and I, my brother, we would do that where I would, most of the time, well, we would even swap off and take turns flying the plane. One of us would fly the plane, the other one would run the keyboard, load up the weapon systems, and so on like that. So we kind of played that together as a tag team.
Nice.
I remember that one. And then there was another one called Space. I forget what Space Cowboy or something. It was a Space
Cowboy.
That wasn't its name, but it should have been that. And you piloted a spacecraft, and you had to blow away aliens and jump through the galaxy, and earn points. And at the end, you would get a rank for how expeditious you completed the adventure.
And what gaming systems you play that on?
The Atari 800 XL.
Man, I feel gypped now. I don't ever remember that existing. I just thought we just had an Atari,
right?
And then it was just with the cartridge and Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Donkey Kong,
right?
That kind of stuff. But I didn't realize that was a whole thing.
Yeah, where the 800 XL, I'm going to call it superior to the console of either the Atari 2600 or 5200 is you could get games on cassette, or you could get games on floppy disk.
Right, the floppy disk.
So for your listeners who had Commodore 64s,
I remember those.
Yeah, or let's see here, Texas Instruments had a home computer system as well.
Yes, they did. I remember that one.
So the Atari 800 XL paralleled what you would have for a Commodore 64.
Nice. All right. Besides the at-home Atari computer, what other kind of computery electronic toys did you have growing up?
Growing up, those handheld devices, Simon, Merlin. We even had a Pac-Man electronic game, and it was shaped like the arcade, but it was only like 8 inches tall.
Nice.
So it was like a mini.
Yeah, I could have seen like a lot of people being envious of that thing. My favorite computer game when I was little I loved Dig Dug.
Yeah.
You remember going in the ground, and then you would pump up whatever little monster was in the ground, and they'd explode, and you
drop rocks.
Drop rocks or whatever. Yeah. I don't know what it was about that game, but I really loved Dig Dug. Oh, and Pizza Hut had Dig Dug, but it was like a table version. So you would sit down at the table, and the screen was flat, so you would look down and play.
Yeah, I've seen that as Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man, but I never saw a Dig Dug one.
Our Pizza Hut had one of those too. I was always like internally raging as a kid. We'd go to Pizza Hut to eat dinner, and somebody would be on that game. And I'd wait, and then they'd finally seat us at a table, and then I never got a turn on it. Yep, that was one of my favorites. All right, Chris. About what age did you put together your first computer? That you would either find a broken up computer and you put it back to health, or just built one from the ground up?
Oh, yeah, I would. Yeah, so everybody had seemed to collect these computers from the late 90s, and then about 2004, 2005, we're here at the moved from Pennsylvania to North Carolina with the wife and family, and people would have their old computers out on the curb, so I would gather them up and just tinker with them. And I halfway thought I could almost make a business out of it, like a curbside computers type thing.
Computers.
And we would just cobble these things together. I'd have a couple systems around the house here, and we cobbled them together. In fact, I put together a pretty decent one from all the spare parts, spray painted it green, gave it a nickname, called it Frankengeek,
Oh, I love
and
it.
I gave it to my friend Daishim. So Daishim, if you hear this, I just plugged
Oh yeah.
your experience
You'll
with
have to
me.
give me his contact, man. Maybe he's got a picture of that thing.
All right.
What was it called again?
We called it Frankengeek.
I love it. I love it. Frankengeek. Awesome. All right, Chris. How often do you think you gotta take apart computers now?
Oh, I take apart computers on a not quite daily, but weekly basis as part of being a product specialist at Lenovo.
I love it. Now I know that Chris gets to road trip sometimes some of the newest Lenovo products, and so that his people know how to problem solve and diagnose issues on them
Yep,
when customers call in, right?
absolutely.
What do you think is one of the coolest products you've got to road test from Lenovo?
Uh, right now, I'd still say that the X1 Fold 13 inch is about the
I got
coolest.
it's sitting right in front, and I've used this before. I helped Chris take some pictures and video for some training purposes a while back. But this little thing is pretty snazzy. Just think of an iPad that folds like a book, the screen and all, which I thought is amazing.
Yes, the folding screen is making its way into handheld like phones and
Yes,
whatnot.
it is.
But we have it on a 13-inch tablet. In fact, we now have it as a 16-inch tablet. I'm trying not to make this into a Lenovo
Right?
commercial.
We are not sponsored by Lenovo in any way. There it is. I should get, wait. I just we're recording today on some new technology here on the podcast as we're ever expanding and growing all the time. And so our recorder today has some pre-recorded sound effects. I can just tap a button and it goes. So if you hear a few things here and there, it's because I'm having a little fun. All right, Chris. So working at Lenovo, what is the coolest kind of computery geekish thing you've got to either be a part of or see or witness working in the computer industry?
Wow. And I think probably just the growth of technology, it's just so changing. And even from the 80s to the 90s, we thought, oh, wow, look how fast it's grown. Look how fast it's changing. We made these innovations and just the innovations in general, not just from Lenovo, but from all the OEMs out there.
Right.
That we're building faster processors, we're building smaller processors, we're building energy efficient processors, and all the other peripherals that are going along with it.
Right. I always think that first computer that I built, I think it had 2 megs of storage for the hard drive.
Right.
Only held like 2 megs, which now a meg today is a speck of dust, man. It's nothing. All right, Chris, tell us, the listeners, what kind of computers do you build now?
Oh my. Well, actually, being a product specialist at Lenovo, I don't necessarily build too many computers. I'm more likely to fix one because that's just the nature of my job, or else I'll just buy one off the shelf already made. And
Right.
I think that's where a lot of people are headed, is that the PC market is so competitive that a lot of my coworkers are from that mindset of, oh, I build my computers,
Right.
and or I'm looking for these particular specifications, but you'll pay a premium if you're going to buy all your parts a la carte from different places and assemble them all
Right.
together.
It's just like if you built your own car, if you paid for all those parts individually, you'd have a $200,000 car, or you can buy a $20,000 Corolla.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
So buying all the new parts to assemble. Sure, you have if but everybody tells me, "Oh, well, that's the rewarding experience is I built I built this myself and it's to my specifications with my particular components. I wanted this brand of this and that brand of that, and
Right.
I wanted this synergy or that synergy with it." But I would believe that for the vast majority of everybody that's going to listen to this, you'll go with an off-the-shelf computer before you go to a, because the computer shows like from your youth don't really exist anymore.
Right. I haven't been to one in forever. All right, Chris. All right, I'm going to test your computer lingo
Oh no.
and see how well everybody knows. The computer industry has all kinds of little acronyms for all kinds of weird things. We use them all day to day in our language, but do we actually know what those terms mean? All right, Chris, you ready? I got,
Let's do it.
I don't know, maybe about 15 acronyms. Let's see how you know. What is ASCII?
Oh my. It's the codes for the numbers assigned to letters and symbols on the keyboard.
You got it, sir. Yeah.
And I
ASCII's
don't remember the word letters to the acronym.
American Standard Code for Information Interchange. All right, Chris, let's do an easy one. What is BIOS?
Basic input output system.
Yeah. What is a byte?
Byte is the smallest unit of data.
Data. You got it, sir. 2 gold stars. What does CPU stand for?
Central processing unit.
Right, that's the brain. All right, this one I say almost every day at work, but I never thought about what it stood for. What is a PDF?
Portable data format.
Portable document format. I would count to Jeopardy, would probably say no, but I give you yes.
All right.
What is RAM?
Random access memory.
Random access memory. That's your short-term memory, by the way, folks, which mine is going down the drain.
Yeah.
RDMA.
Random direct. No, I was thinking had to do with a RAM stick.
Remote direct memory access. I don't know the difference between that and RAM. I know they're similar, but I don't know what. This one I learned because you helped me put a new one of these in. What is a STATA or STATA?
You mean SATA, the serial? Oh my.
I'm giving him a thumbs up if you can remember the name.
It's the protocol used to transmit the data from the board to the drive.
Yeah, Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. That's crazy. What does VGA stand for?
Video graphics array.
Yay. HTML.
Hypertext markup language.
That's crazy. I don't even know, what does markup have to do with that? HTTP.
Hypertext transfer protocol.
URL.
Universal resource language.
Uniform resource
Look up.
Whoop! Almost said a really bad word. Uniform resource locator. Yeah, that's our web addresses. USB.
Universal serial bus.
Now here are some that I thought would stump you because I had no clue what they were. This term, it looks like when you would read it in a document, WYSIWYG, pronounced WYSGIG.
Yeah, WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
Yes, I never heard that before. I never heard of WYSGIG.
Yeah. WYSIWYG really ties into your podcast because back in the oldest days, you mentioned DOS, and when you typed documents into your computer, they didn't all the time look like how they were going to print out.
Correct.
You had to know kind of, okay, well, this is how this text is going to look when it finally hits the printer. And then word processors evolved to show you on the screen more like what it's going to look like on the printer. And the earliest innovations of word processing, that was one of their key bullet points in their marketing was, this is a WYSIWYG word processor. It's going to be what you see is what you get on the display.
So in the early days, they didn't have a way of showing you what you see is what you get.
Right. It would just be rows of text. Right. You would, on the screen, there might be like a bold P looking character to be the paragraph indentation.
Yes, it would print all the commands too.
Right.
Yes. All right, WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. I love it. All right, Chris. So, closing out the podcast, sir, I usually do some rapid fire questions with each person. These don't technically will have anything to do with computers, but it's neat to see what people say. All right, Chris. Besides your wonderful family, what is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
Oh my. I would say the virgin hemlock forest in western Perry County.
Nice.
It's a forest where these trees and this plot of land has never been logged. It's literally in its virgin, untouched state, and these trees are just so huge and magnificent.
I love it. Similar when I saw the sequoia redwoods
Yeah,
out in California. I'd imagine a similar feeling of just kind of awe about something so old and beautiful. It's been around for so long.
definitely.
All right, Chris, what's your favorite smell?
Favorite smell? New car smell.
New. Ooh, we all love a new car smell, don't we? Let's. We're gonna give him a round of applause. Yeah, we have a studio audience today. Yes. All right, Chris, what is your favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich? Anything Italian sub.
Ooh, I love Italian subs too. Yeah. What is your favorite drink? Any kind of drink.
Coffee.
What makes you happy every single time it happens?
Um, it's silly, but at the office, everybody calls me professor, and
Oh,
and it is a giggle every
I
time.
can see that.
It is where our office isn't one of these offices where everybody has a nickname. Almost nobody has a nickname. I wound up with this nickname, Professor, and in fact, two different employees independently started calling me Professor, and anybody who had heard it, it just caught on.
Oh, I love it.
So it's just organic to me.
Well, I think everybody loves a positive nickname that shows admiration and respect. Chris, if you could send your kid self an email with one little nugget of information, what would you email to your kid self?
Uh, Probably don't be a teacher. Go right into IT.
Go right into IT. Yep, go right for the paycheck. Yeah, I've talked to another teacher, and they've said, "Oh yeah, I would have done this instead."
You know, I did feel called to be a teacher, and I don't begrudge anything I did as a teacher, but just being in IT just
You
has
enjoy
so much
the work
is
better,
it's just such a better fit for me.
right? Well, you got to find. I was just talking to a guy today at Lowe's Hardware today, and he was like, "You got to get up every morning and go do something that you love to do."
Yeah,
He says, "If you don't love to do it, then
yeah, I'd
get
love
up
to
and
do
go
it.
do something else."
I loved being a teacher. I was called to be a teacher, and I was also called to leave teaching.
Exactly. You also got to read the signs too. Don't stick
Yeah,
around longer than you need to somewhere. All right, sir. So I'm going to close out every podcast then asking my guest if you could nominate somebody to be on the cast to talk about something they did as a kid that they're still doing now. Do you have a possible nomination, sir?
finally, an easy question.
What do you mean? And none of these were hard except for what is FKR? FKR stand for?
I'm going to nominate my beautiful wife, Sandy Shover.
Oh right, yeah. Sandy Shover.
She's
What she
crafty.
does. She is very. She's crafty. Yes.
She dabbles in art. She dabbles in painting. She's hardcore into sewing. She constructs her own clothes. In fact, she constructed the shirt that I'm wearing.
I've been jealous that every Hawaiian shirt you've worn that she didn't make a duplicate for me.
She does quilting. She does scrapbooking, photography, anything and everything art and craftiness.
Yeah. Well, we will definitely have to schedule a time here on the podcast. All right, Chris. Thank you for stopping by. We enjoyed you being on the show. Round of applause for Mr. Shover, everyone.
And kudos to you, Matt, for putting this together.
Oh, dude, it is my pleasure, man. I have a blast talking to folks and learning about new stuff. If you guys want to meet Mr. Shover in real life, remember, just call in the premier support at Lenovo, pitch a fit, and ask for the manager and say, "Who trained this sucker that I'm talking to right now?" And you'll go right to Mr. Shover. Remember, folks, find what makes you happy and do it. There's a lot of life out there to live. Take time to enjoy it and have a week. See you guys later.